Welcome to Health Conscious Entrepreneurs, where we uncover secrets to balancing entrepreneurship, life, and healthy habits to achieve radiant health. I'm your host, Ngoc Tai, and today I welcome my dear friend, Miss Michelle Richmond, all the way from Kenya. Michelle, I found you on a podcast and connected with you, and I'm so grateful you're on the show. Can you tell me more about yourself and share what you do and the wonderful work you've been doing?
Of course. Thank you, Noc, for the invitation, and excuse our natural environment that we have here in Kenya. So if people are watching and the light fades, it's because that's the environment we live in. So as you said, I live in Kenya. I'm Australian and I travel between both. And over the last 20 years, I have developed a coaching program based on supporting people to fly higher in the new world, how to navigate the white noise and disruption of the changes that we're experiencing. And I wrote that last year before COVID happened, and it seemed quite insightful.
Yes.
Because who knew a year ago that this was about to happen? So I have my coaching programs are usually a year long, and people work with me to either change their relationship with themselves, with others, maybe change their career, and often start a new business, something like that. And I love working with people who are focused on making an impact somehow in the world, whether that is with their families, within themselves, but usually in some way living their passion, their purpose, their dream, and creating a positive impact. So
Yay. That's
that's
all it is.
exciting.
Yes,
That's
life
all
is,
it
yeah,
is.
it is. Life is about being impactful and intentional in what we do. And I feel like a lot of us, we lose focus because we're so busy. We're busy doing, managing a life with kids, a career, a side business. And then, you're running around so much just trying to catch up, and we do lose focus. And that's why I love what you're doing, is that you're providing a space for people to get back into refocusing about what matters most in life, right? And just
Yeah.
and clearing the clog of our brain, I call
Yeah.
it.
And as you said, on yourself, because it's, if we're not in coherence with our heart, if our mind and heart aren't in coherence, if our intellect and intuition aren't in coherence, then that's when the cracks start to appear, either in our health, in our relationships, in our businesses or our careers. And we often get those little signals along the way. If we say we're talking about health, we might get the headaches or the imbalance in hormones and the emotions or the anxiety, and we don't listen because we're so busy just focused on where we're going or living up to expectations, achieving whatever it is, that we don't even listen to the signs that are telling us that we need to change something. Something's not working, until of course we hit the wall.
Exactly.
And then we get the death, the divorce, the
Exactly.
disease, the whatever that is. And that then creates,
Yeah.
I guess, a bigger challenge for us to climb out of. But I always say challenge is opportunity, and the greater the challenge, the greater the opportunity.
Yeah. For me, that's why I created this summit, is because I went through that journey too, where I was working so much, had inflammation, couldn't work, and then was introduced to my water. And then when I drank this special water that I had, I realized there's more to that than just water. There's nutrition, there's spiritual health, mental health, emotional health, physical health, and then there's also your financial health. So all these,
Totally.
yes, all these things has to be in balance. And so, I went through this and say, okay, well, how do I create this summit and bring experts from all over to talk about these different topics so that people can learn from all the mistakes that we all have made, right? We've all made mistakes in our career. We've all done things that we have let our health suffer, right? And sometimes it's too late. Sometimes, but there are times when we need to stop and refocus and, you know, go for a walk or things like that. So at your retreat, what do you do in the retreat for like 12, or do they with you for 12 months, or it's just a short few months and you work with them, or how does that work?
Yeah, so most people work with me for 12 months online. They sign up for a 12-month program because I find over a year, so many different things happen in life that, you know, you can think you've got this. And I work very much from a mental, emotional, a spiritual, a heartfelt, a physical perspective. So working on the whole you, but also creating strategy and structure if it's about your career or business, etc. So most of my clients work with me over a 12-month period. And then during that time, they come on either retreat or safari with me, which is just really exciting. When you step away from the world, you know, disconnect from the world and reconnect with yourself, put your technology away, let your family, your life just stay at home and come away. So if we go on retreat, that's a very much more, I guess, in a way, a stillness type of exercise, because I always like to pick natural environments that contribute something back to the sustainability of the planet.
Yeah.
And companies that, or retreats that in some way are built in a rainforest and the money goes to saving the rainforest or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's a very much very meditative, conversational, internal, quieter exploration with the self.
Yeah.
But in an environment of beautiful people, and as you know, if you've been on retreat, whoever shows up in the room, somehow there's always this cohesive theme that they reflect beautifully to each other. And you might just hear someone say something and go, wow, that's me, or I've never thought of it that way. So what I find in both in the coaching, in the mastermind, in retreats or on safari, it's the beauty of the collaboration of the group of people that come together.
Yeah.
And then when we go on safari, which, you know, is my favorite thing to do, and to share with people, because the environments are my favorite. You know, my passion is about nurturing and saving the environment and the animals. And if you use here in Kenya, for instance, then, you know, if tourism is not going to the game park, then the Maasai will get their money somewhere else by grazing cattle or things like that. And if the herders start grazing cattle there, then they eat the fodder of the elephants, or the Maasai will harm the elephants. You know, the graziers will harm the elephants and the other animals. So my purpose in not only bringing people here, because it's extraordinary, and I love seeing like that moment where someone sees, say, an elephant or a giraffe for the very first time, and it's just, they light up and it's just jaw dropping and they go into just awe and wonder.
Yeah.
And in that moment, what's so powerful is people realize when they're in presence that awe and wonder is inside of them. Yeah, and it's always accessible if we choose to create more of that in our life. So when we go on safari, I design the safaris depending where we go, that people go on a journey. You know, we might climb a volcano or something that's a little bit more physically challenging, and then the next day go into a beautiful, peaceful space for a couple of days, and then go somewhere heartfelt, and then go somewhere awe-inspiring. So the safari is usually 12 days and designed to take people on a journey home to themselves, and people discover what fulfillment and happiness really means. It's just the most extraordinary experience and thing that I love.
Yeah.
And what is so beautiful about that is when people go home, they find in their life or their business, they, you know, we'll talk about their goals or their intentions, that they happen quicker and faster than they imagine. Everything is accelerated. Sometimes at such a pace, people are going, whoa, you know, I've just achieved my 12 month goal in 3 months. Everything's just happened because there is that coherence.
Yeah.
Right? What we're constantly focused on creating, whether it's in the 12-month program or on the safari, is that coherence between our heart and our mind. Yeah. our intellect and our intuition.
Yeah.
Because when there's coherence between these aspects of self,
Yeah.
then creative acceleration occurs. That's where you tap into that power of synchronicity and the power of infinite possibility. And that's very, very
That's
fun.
powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when I'm out of balance or my family life, right? If my family life and my relationship or my work is out of balance, and you're right, it's like your mind and your heart is not in sync, and you're constantly trying to battle, okay, what is my heart saying, what is my mind saying, right? And then when you're not in sync, you don't achieve more. So for me, when I'm out of sync, I like, okay, I need to just go out for a walk and go to the beach and go around nature, go look at houses and just look at simple flowers on the street, just like walk
Yeah.
around, look at the neighborhood. And just, it really clears the mind, because our mind is just so bogged with so much data, so much technology, so much things that we want to learn, and so much things we want to accomplish, and it just gets crazy.
Well, many people's minds are filled with a lot of data, right? But not 100%. So I get really definitive with language, because, what we focus on today creates our tomorrow. What we think today fuels our tomorrow. So, yeah, doing the things, as you said, that bring you back to your heart, right? Enjoying architecture and just take you back into your heart, enjoying, seeing what flowers are in bloom, going to the beach, doing something fun with your kids that brings you back to your heart. The resonance of the heart, or the heart, is 5,000 times more magnetic than the brain. And the heart picks up information 7 seconds before the brain, so that if you are not connected with your heart, if you can't hear your heart, then it's because your mind is too chatty, then you miss opportunity. Yeah. So yeah, excuse Lois, she just popped through. She
That's
obviously
okay.
doesn't understand video or anything like that. So
that's all
even though I
natural.
asked her.
You know what? That's why I love doing what we're doing, is that we do it naturally, and we're doing like we're having a conversation. It's like I'm seeing where you are at in your natural environment, and we're not in an office. I create my office, and you have this beautiful setting, and I just can't wait to see you. And for sure, it'll be on my bucket list to go visit you in the safari and go in Australia or something out there. I have to come over. You have such a gorgeous, gorgeous house.
Yes, I'm very blessed. We've created paradise here. So, and that's the other thing that is happening with my home, is also created like a retreat space, so people can come here and disconnect from the world and spend a week with me privately. And we have lots of healthy juicing and veggies and beautiful food. And I'm very blessed. I have my own cook and my housekeeper and my people who look after everything. So it's a divine space to invite people, and so people can enjoy the beauty of the gardens and things that are happening here. So so
you're
that's
getting
kind of fun.
they're getting back to nature. I think that it's getting grounded back, right? And before, all the things that we're doing with technology and all the TVs and all these commercials and all the madness that goes around in society, you're just disengaging from all that, right? And just being grounded and finding things that bring you joy.
Well, I think that's the beauty of what COVID has brought for people is there's a couple of things here. One of them is exactly what you said. It making us very raw and real, right? Stuff just happens. People walk into their video. We're no longer showing up in an office or standing on a stage telling people how it is, right? When in actual fact, we're inviting people into our homes, and all of a sudden we're all becoming more human, more connected to what's real, which is really beautiful. And I think also, I was speaking to a client today, and they're traveling less. They're spending more time with their son. For me, I've been here, and I used to landscape and garden all the time when I was young. And then being here is just fantastic. I'm not traveling. I'm not doing safaris and retreats and speaking gigs and workshops in different places around the world. I've been at home. So I'm barefoot in the garden. And I think that's, which is just fantastic.
Yes.
And landscaping. And I think that's for a lot of people, is there is this invitation to, and to come back to what really makes your heart sing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
what is it that you love to do? And you know, I love that in a single day I can be in the garden and then put some lipstick on and call you and go, yeah, let's do this. And you know, just run, you know, before I got on the call, I ran some timber down to the mill to be sliced up. And I was down there, and I'll just tell you this little story, because I was thinking about, you know, the conversation we're about to have.
Yeah.
And I need to take, so it's just around the corner, and there's this little guy, right, with a little shed, and he's got a sawmill. So I take my timber there from a fallen tree, and he's going to cut it up for me for 3 cents a meter, right? I'm like,
wow.
His wife is sitting in the on the ground. She has a piece of cloth on the ground she's sitting on, and the ducks and chickens are walking all around. Her kids are climbing all over her. There's a little cluster of houses, and there's kids everywhere, and just people. Such simple living, right? Such simple living. And you know, we talked about water last time we spoke, and there's matumbis, you know, yellow cans lined up filled with water, because these women walk to the well to get their water and carry it home, a, you know, 20-liter thing on their head. And that is their drinking water, their bathing water, their washing water. And so I think there is this beautiful opportunity. And I think for me, I get to drive out my gate every day and see it, to go, come on, let's get real.
Yeah.
What's really important to you?
Yes.
Because no matter how big the challenge, no matter what's happening in your life, we have such an extraordinary opportunity.
Right.
Yeah, we have so much richness comparatively. We have the opportunity to go online and buy a meditation course for $19.95, or read about water or food, or we have so much choice. And I think if I said anything to you that I think is really important for people to remember, you know, is living from your heart is a choice.
Yes.
Yeah. Choosing to live an extraordinary life is a choice. And whether extraordinary means that you have a brilliant relationship with your children or your parents or your co-workers, or you do something that makes a bigger impact in the world, we are gifted with the power of choice and the power of possibility. And what living from the heart, learning to create that coherence between your heart and mind gives you, is the power to tune into choices that exceed your mind, that are beyond your mind. And in fact, you don't even always have to tune into them when there is that coherence. That's when things pop in and they come to you. That, you know, it's where synchronicity happens. Synchronicity happens in that beautiful connection between the heart and the mind, or the heart and the brain. And that is a true gift. We are truly blessed to have that knowledge and knowing.
Yeah, it's very true, because I feel like for me, there's a purpose, right? And, you know, my background is I'm an accountant, a CPA for so many years, 22 years. And now I find it brings me joy just to share my water and just to share my knowledge of health that I've been reading, because I went through that journey of discovering myself and discovering my health and discovering what I can do to be impactful in not only health, but financial health, teaching people how to create multiple sources of income, teaching people how to take care of themselves based on the water, teaching people how to eat properly, or just things or books that I share with people. And I find that when you expose people to your knowledge, because we all have different knowledge, if we share that the knowledge, and it just makes people's lives so different, they change their life, that you are impacting their future, not only their future, their children's future, and and futures later on. So what you're doing, just one person, you don't really, there's a whole impact that you're creating, just by impacting one person. Right?
That exponential effect, exactly. And we don't exactly know how that's going to flow. And that can be a positive word to the girl at the supermarket. Yeah, that can be a compliment, a sincere compliment to somebody, that they have beautiful eyes. To be able to contribute to positive impact is so simple. I think we tend to think that we have to go out and find our purpose. And yes, when you're doing something like you're doing, that I'm doing, that has been created for both of us from challenge, then this is the gift that comes from that challenge. But creating a positive impact in the world can be very, very simple. It can happen every single day, effortlessly and gracefully. And, as much as we love to share what we've learned and our experience to those people who can benefit from that, it's also a requirement that the people we're sharing the knowledge with actually want to receive what we have to share. That there is that coherence as well between you and the people that you're speaking to. And there is that, again, the beautiful gift of choice, and for people to be able to decide. I think people you have to decide. If I said, what is something very, other than remembering that you have a choice, that really creates acceleration, is you have to decide you're going to do it. That you really would love something, and you have to make a decision, because as long as you're like a boat on the ocean, then there is no direct access to exactly what you want. There is no focus. So bringing your focus to exactly what you love, even if you don't know like what that is, like tangibly, but the essence of that, then that decision itself will help carry you directly to that which you'd love to create, whether that's health, wealth, relationships, joy, happiness, peace, freedom.
And you're right. It's because it's all timing, right? And also the trauma we suffer too. If we don't suffer trauma, or life keeps going on and we're accepting things the way they are, even though we're not in sync, and we do know we're not in sync. If we pay attention and we listen to our body and we listen to our mind, it's when we just ignore it, and we just, just saying, making excuses, and the stories that we tell ourselves. It's like these stories that we keep going and going, and we say, oh, okay, it's okay. But really in our heart and our mind, we know it's not the right thing, because we can feel in our nerves and our vibration and our frequencies. We know that it's wrong, but we're accepting it because we were not ready to receive. We're not ready to make those decisions. And like, that is where is the key, is like, you can't change people. You can only change yourself. You have to accept it. And if you can't accept it, move on. So those are things that I live in. Like, okay, you need to figure it out. And that's only for you. You don't do things for people. You do it for yourself first. And that's why self-care is so important.
Yes. I always say you have to become selfish to be selfless. Yeah. You have to really build and deepen your relationship with yourself, and spend time in self-forgiveness. And I see forgiveness as an opportunity for giving love, for bringing love. Where there is an absence of love, be forgiving to yourself. Start being aware of your mind, and notice the negative self-talk that happens, that either comes out of your mind and sometimes out of your mouth. And in that moment that you notice that negative self-talk, stop, take a breath. It's what I call the choice gap. Drop into your heart. Okay, and bring love there. It's like, and choose, again, the decision, choose and decide to catch that negative thinking and flip it. If I wasn't saying that about myself, what would I be saying?
Yeah.
What would the positive of that be?
Yeah.
And so self-forgiveness is really powerful. And I think people try to skip ahead, right? I want to know what my purpose is.
Yeah.
And Eckhart Tolle said it so beautifully. I think this is the most freeing sentence I ever read. And that is, the purpose of all life is to be.
Yes.
And when you're in a place of beingness, what you're here to do will flourish.
Yes.
And the beingness comes from meditating and dissolving regret and choosing to surrender regret.
Yes.
To bring self-love and self-forgiveness to the self. And then self-acceptance. Sometimes it's hard to be self-accepting if you've got all this regret floating around and you've got all these things that you're being not loving to yourself. So I find having if you spend 1 week being self-forgiving, bringing forgiveness to every aspect of you, just close your eyes even in meditation. Imagine that you're calling in all the parts of you that you have a beef with, that you're unhappy with, and then go into your heart and send love to all of those parts and forgiveness to all of those parts, knowing that you did the best you could at the time. If you spend 1 week, at least, you could spend a lifetime actually, building your relationship with self-forgiveness, so much changes for you. I find people become more present. They're kinder to themselves and other people. They're more present with other people's needs.
Yeah.
And then if you then spend a week or two with your relationship with regret. And Tom Kenyon on his website, he's one of the most amazing sound healers in the world. I use him all the time. His website is Tom Kenyon, KENYON.com. He has a meditation on there for regret, and he tells you, runs it through, and you can listen to that meditation every day for a week or two, and you will find, I didn't think I regretted very much. And I listened to that and regrets popped in. There was like, wow, I didn't even see that one coming.
Yeah.
So that's a very beautiful tool for regret.
Yeah.
And then the law of self-acceptance, then go into just being in your heart and being acceptance. And this may sound easier than it is, but have gratitude for yourself.
Very true.
Yeah. Gratitude if you've had a really tough life, for the resilience that's come from that. And then have a week or so in dancing in your heart. Be in your heart with gratitude to yourself. And I have clients who go, wow, I've never thought of that. Wow, I would never imagine doing that.
Yeah.
Wow, and then they get excited. I did it. I just felt what it feels like to have gratitude for myself, and wow, I feel so calm.
Yeah, we do. We do take things for granted, and ourselves, because we go through so much in life and we accomplish so much, but we don't recognize it and acknowledge that. And there are people out there that say, wow, you do this and this and this, you're amazing. But then to your own self, you're like, nah, that's just me just doing what I'm supposed to do. That's normal. But people see you and that's like, wow, you have all these knowledge and you do all these exciting things and you accomplish so much in your life, all these hardships, and you have this business, you have this and that. But you're right, we have to come back to appreciating for ourselves first, right? If we want to love somebody, we need to come first love ourselves and heal.
Exactly.
Yeah, heal the wounds that has been the trauma, because all of us have some sort of trauma, right?
Everybody has a story. You have to be willing to surrender the story.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's a powerful one, being able to surrender the story. And I had an Indigenous healer join us on our retreat last year in Australia, and one of the things he shared was, it just is. Right?
Justice.
So it just is. So this is my story. It's neither good or bad. It just is. This is what happened. It just is. That can be more challenging as well. It's another beautiful one to dance with. Just take the power out of your story and take the power back and go, yeah, that happened. It just is.
Yeah.
What's my truth and what am I choosing to focus on today?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is amazing. And there's one other one I just wanted to capture that you spoke of earlier. And that was the gratitude. Right? When someone expresses to you, hey, thank you, that you're amazing.
Yeah.
So often, we, like you said, we just, oh, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
And we don't receive the kindness and the love that was just showing to us. In fact, really, we've just rejected that person. Right? So if you think about it, we've actually just been really kind to that person because that person has taken time to express something nice to you, and you go, no, I'm not amazing.
Yeah.
And then you're shutting them down.
Yeah.
And you're not receiving, and you break in that moment the cycle of gratitude and appreciation.
Yeah.
And so another exercise I would invite people to do is take some time out, go into meditation, or if you don't meditate, just go quietly in your heart and invite all the people in your life that have ever expressed gratitude to you. Invite, it's almost like if you imagine there's a wall there where you've like put your hand up and said stop, and there's a lineup of gratitude to you or appreciation for you. Is just choose to open the doors and let that into your heart.
Yeah.
And see what your experience is. I have clients who have sobbed and sobbed, like deeply sobbed.
Wow.
From just sitting. I remember one client, she was doing a session, she was driving somewhere, she pulled over on the side of the highway, we're doing a session, and just doing that, she was just sobbing. Tears were just flowing down. And so the next time that someone says, hey, you're fabulous, or thank you for putting this together, I invite people, just take a moment and breathe that in.
Yeah.
And receive that with the love that it was intended.
Yeah. And I think for me, like I can speak of, for other people, but growing up, it's like we're taught to give and give and give and put everybody first, and we're taught to be of service to the family and everybody. And so we don't get service to ourselves. We don't acknowledge ourselves. We don't appreciate ourselves, right? And then we lose our identity. And then we're like, okay, until the trauma happens, and we come back to your identity and come back to that an appreciation for the life that you're given, appreciation for the journey you're given, and appreciation for all the people that are part of the journey that gave you these learning lessons. And it's like they're learning lessons in life. And how do you take those learning lessons and grow from that so you don't make the same mistakes again? For me, that's so powerful to be able to recognize that and not hold grudges against people, because it doesn't serve you to hold those grudges. You just
No.
Peace. Yeah.
Absolutely. I like to call them gifts. I figure I'm done with lessons. I've had enough of those in my life. So I like to call them gifts, right? Out of every challenge comes opportunity. Opportunity thinking is, what's right about this that I'm not seeing, even when the worst is happening. Yeah.
Yes.
And I know that
this whole pandemic is a gift. For me, I treat it as it's not a gift that we have to come back to understand what's going on with nature. We have to come back to understanding how have we been treating Mother Earth? How have we been treating each other? How have we been treating our health? and our relationship, right? And yes, you know, we have to recognize that we have to go back to being grounded. Do you agree?
Yes, and I totally agree. And the question then is, okay, how have I engages the mind and can take you down a rabbit
Mm-hmm.
warren? But to recognize, right, that we're disconnected from the environment, for nature, from the impact that we're making in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and then choose, okay, so what's my choice? My choice is to make a more positive impact, a
Mm-hmm.
greater contribution.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, that can be very, very simple. I
Yeah.
went to visit an elderly lady in our community who's just extraordinary the other day. It's like, okay, I need to understand what plants to plant
Mm-hmm.
to attract more butterflies and more bees.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that contribution, it's quite simple, right? It's just about finding out what plants are going to
Yeah.
flower and attract
Yeah.
butterflies and bees, but that in itself is a contribution. Or I plant lots of trees,
Yeah.
or whatever it is for you, whether, well, actually, you know, the the most powerful thing, as you said, is about coming back to your relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
And it's coming back to owning your worth,
Yes.
owning you're worthy, owning you're valuable, owning you're deserving, and you're enough.
Yes.
Now that might not just, you know, happen out of, you know,
Yes.
just magic.
And
Sometimes that's a little bit of an exploration and a journey. But by choosing that, right?
yeah.
When we feel respect and love for ourselves, we're more conscious of what we put in our body. We're more conscious of what we eat.
Yes.
We're more conscious of what we consume, what we have in our environment, and how our actions impact our both our home environment and the greater world.
Yes.
And so that relationship with self changes everything, because if we're happier and healthier,
Yeah.
you know, well, one, if we're healthier, our intuition is stronger, and that's where we inspirations pop in and we grab them and follow them and find ourselves doing something extraordinary that we never would have imagined, like living in Africa.
Yeah.
And then
Or going to
so
Kenya finding monkeys or gorillas and the things that
exactly, yeah, no, there's usually monkeys in my garden, which is amazing. But the the um, thing that is really powerful that I think a lot of people don't think about is when you don't look after your health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's when you need antidepressants, antibiotics, hormone replacement therapy, chemotherapy, radiation, the plethora of drugs that are available in the richest industry in the world, which is big pharma.
Yeah.
All of those drugs that people are consuming every single day are going through our bodies and into the toilet
Mm-hmm.
and into our waterways.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's very true.
And they're affecting the sexuality of our fish, even down to polar bears in the Antarctic are now being born with both male and female organs. And they're finding in the brain tissue of fish and oysters and things like that, they're finding antidepressants, antibiotics, they're finding drugs in the animals that we're potentially going to eat. So then people with a perfectly healthy, harmonious body or young children are eating, and yes, they might be small amounts, but we actually have no idea how those continual small amounts over a lifetime
Yes.
of drugs that have nothing to do with the way our body is functioning.
Yeah.
We have no idea of the long-term impact on our children of what that is going to create.
Yes.
And I think for me, as much as I love working with humans, I love people, seeing them change their lives, change who they are, you know, calling me saying I'm so much more at peace with myself, I have more freedom in my heart, you know, all of these things are very exciting.
Yeah.
But what really excites me is the potential of how looking after our mind, our heart, and our health
Mm-hmm.
impacts the environment and the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so in sync with you. And it's very true, because we don't see that impact, that what we're doing as human beings, and the pharmaceutical, and the things that's causing our water and our food, and the contamination, that we don't bring awareness to all this stuff, because we just see things as it is. It's also convenient. It's so convenient to pop a pill. It's so convenient to do these things and eat processed food. But it's not, what's not good is that we're waiting for treatment. We're not being preventative. So how do we come back to prevention, to being, like you say, aware, take care of the body, but also seeing the impact of these companies that are causing problems to our environment, and being aware that we need to stop buying those things, or stop buying bottled water, or stop buying processed food and things like that, so that we take care of our body, and then we see the impact on the environment be more improved, because we're not using plastic or things like that. So it's so impactful that we start looking at these things to change. Yeah. So
Well, it's not only impactful, it's empowering, right? It's empowering, because all of a sudden, you as an individual, I as an individual, have the power to create change. And imagine if everybody that we know takes their power back and makes new choices and new decisions, that they focus on self-love, self-healing, then that, like you said, creates an exponential effect in the world. And that's how we change the world, one person at a time.
That's exactly it. I love it. I mean, I think I can talk to you forever and ever, and I don't think we'll ever stop talking. So we'll definitely keep in touch. But I do have one last question for you, a few or two. One last question. If you had the superpower to change the world, this one superpower, what would it be? And I think I know what it is going to be. So what is your superpower?
It's a really great question. And funnily enough, it's one I've been exploring for these last 3 weeks, because I always like to upscale and up level. And it's, what's the one thing I read about? I read Wangari Maathai's book earlier this year, and she was one woman in Kenya who come from a very poor part of the country, who worked really hard, went to JFK University. She got a scholarship in the United States and planted 30 million trees across Kenya. Amazing. And through planting 30 million trees, she did that through empowering women. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so by empowering women, they then went and planted the trees for her. Yeah. And she says, what is the one? And she said her hashtag is the one thing. The one thing. And so I've been contemplating this question, the one thing. Yes. And if I had a superpower, well, I do have a superpower, and the superpower I'm choosing to employ is to inspire as many people as possible to ignite their one thing. Yes. And take action and add to the exponential impact in the world. Yeah, amazing. So thank you so much. And so for people watching this show, we have an offer that we're making. So Michelle, do you want to share what you want to offer for people that opt in to accept the offer? We'll do a random drawing of your offer. Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I'm going to share with people is 2 of my meditations, the Good Love and the White Space, which people who you want to share that with. Mm-hmm. But also I would like to offer a free or a complimentary session with me, a strategy session for somebody or anyone who would love to enter. In fact, I'm going to offer 3 of those strategy sessions to support people to get in focus and explore how they can fly higher and contribute to making our new world. Yeah, amazing, amazing. And how do we find you? I'll put a link, but how would we find right now on this? What's your website? Okay, you can pop onto my website. It's Michelle, LLE with 2 L's, Michelle with 2 L, Richmond, like the football team. I don't know if you have that in the States. We do in Australia. So michellerichmond.com.au for Australia. Awesome. Yeah. Beautiful. So you can pop on my website or find my Facebook page.
Thank you. Thank you
That kind
so
of
much.
thing.
I know that we definitely, this connection that we made is so amazing that, you know, even though you're in Kenya and I'm here in California, I can feel your energy and I can feel what you're doing, and I can feel the connection that we have, and I'm so grateful that I was able to connect with you and finding you, and the universe just brings me to people, and just finding the right people to create the impact that we want to make together. It's just powerful.
Yeah. Thank you for the invitation and for reaching out and for following your heart.
Yes, thank you.
Very powerful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.